There is no more fitting occasion than Memorial Day weekend to remember those who fought and died for our country, along with the things they held dear. To capture both, we're calling this show The Land We Love. Our centerpiece story is a Daily News exclusive, putting you on the beaten path. Hiking the Florida Trail, you'll see our state in a whole new way. Plus, a timely tribute to soldiers who paid the ultimate sacrifice and how a small group of retired vets banded together to build them a wall. We'll have those stories along with the latest in our Positively Healthy Medical series. I'm Amy Osher, and this is Behind the Headlines. I'm Amy Osher. Thanks for joining us. It's a road less traveled, a footpath through Florida, more than 1,100 miles long, taking the hardiest of hikers up the gut of the state, seeking the challenge that is the Florida Trail.
The trail goes through these spots that are unlike anywhere else in the country, and you're never going to see it unless you're walking through it. I don't explain it to people. It's too hard. They have an idea in their head, and it's like me explaining it in words isn't really, I can't really do it justice. I can't remember when I first heard about the Florida Trail, and I thought the concept of walking across an entire state was like really interesting. And the people that have told me not to do the Florida Trail, in retrospect, I don't think any of them have done the Florida Trail. So it'll weed you out in the same way that every trail does. So, but that's what I had read. Hadn't heard of a lot of people completing it.
The Florida Trail was started 50 years ago, in fact, by a group of volunteers. Painted the first blaze in Ocala National Forest 50 years ago. It wasn't until 1983 that the Florida Trail was actually established by Congress as a National Scenic Trail.
Depending on which route you choose to take, it is around 1,100 miles.
Swamps are kind of our version of mountains, and you have wetlands and swamps and a variety of habitats, but certainly those are the most challenging to get through.
Big Cypress, the section where I was like in the middle of a swamp, and there was just air plants everywhere, and it was just blowing my mind. Like, I didn't know this was a real place. I've never seen anything like this, and there's probably nothing like this anywhere else in the country.
The Black Lagoon is your water source, 0.1 mile north. So there's water in 6 miles.
I think psychologically, I think it was like day 5 was the first time that I ever, in my mind, like, was starting to formulate my, like, final blog entry. Like, here's how I'm going to quit this trail. Like, I never once in my entire life on the AT or the PCT ever even thought about quitting. And on the Florida Trail, I was like, if this trail keeps, if it keeps it up, we're done.
Thirsty Turtle is only a couple days ahead of us. What's today? 25th?
After Okeechobee, I met Cerilia, and I was like, there's other people doing this trail. There's other girls wearing dresses doing this trail. Like, there's other people out here. And then every day we started passing one person and just meeting more people. The trail became a trail, blazes to follow. And I was like, I'm going to finish. I'm going to do this trail.
I hear cars. The big road. No. Oh, I just saw a couple.
The people in Florida didn't understand or had never heard of the Florida Trail, and they weren't prepared for hikers to be walking in their front yard or like, right by their mailbox. And so like the road walks can actually be harder than the trail in that way.
Yeah. What's up, man? I got a bagel, because you got nut allergy. Go nuts.
I'm gonna eat donuts anyway.
The trail changes, not much, but it changes a little bit each year due to reroutes, or they find a better section to move the trail to, or sometimes, unfortunately, the trail gets rerouted because of, the property gets bought, the trail used to come on, or, for some reason that no longer the Florida Trail is allowed to be on that property.
Like on a really good through hiking moment, it's like you are completely within. Like you're not thinking about the fact that like there's a bunch of people in civilization all around you. Like you're just doing your adventure. And when you're on a road walk, it's like you're in reality again. There's a time when, for me, what I do is I'm counting up my miles. So I'm like, okay, I'm at mile marker 300, or okay, I'm at mile marker 400. I've made it 500 miles on this trail out of the 1,100 miles. I've gone 600 miles. And then all of a sudden, somewhere it just flips and you're like, I have 500 miles to go, or only 400 miles to go. And you start counting backwards, like 300 miles left. I have a week left. Like, and you start, figuring it out. Like, if I'm keeping my mileage the same, I'm only 4 days left. Cerilia and Lint and I have experienced that, or like, we can't explain it. We saw it, and it's like a secret club that we're in that we can't explain to anyone else. They won't get it. Like why I like to through hike is because it makes you appreciate everything better.
It's like a terminus for ants.
I think it's really important to keep preserving what Florida still has to offer. The natural pessimistic part of me is always worried about it. Yeah, that's like a part of the reason why I'm out there now. It's like, it's not going to be the same in even probably a year or two. Like, I would like to maintain my hope, but I mean, I want to be able to see what there is to offer, like, while it's still here.
Both Katie Clan and Greg Stanley actually hit the trail in order to do this story. Katie, you took the video, which was really beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
How involved in the story did you get?
I would say pretty involved. I found someone who is through hiking the trail, which means hiking it from one end to the other kind of continuously. I found her on a Facebook group for Florida Trail hikers and asked her basically if I could follow her and document her experience on the trail. And luckily enough, she said yes and allowed me to kind of tag along for her trip. So.
And you popped in and out though. You didn't go from beginning to end every day. She took, what, 30, 40 days?
Right, yeah. She took 40 days, which is relatively fast for someone who's through hiking a trail. But I started with her in Big Cypress National Preserve on her first day at the southern terminus and hiked 3 days with her there up to I-75, which was kind of through the swamp area, and then popped back and went back to her, I think, on her 25th day or something like that, where I met up with her on the Suwannee section, the Suwannee River section, and Greg popped up for that section as well.
I was going to say, for something that's such a solitary pastime, they were getting to know a lot of people that would kind of take stride with them for a while, and Greg, you popped in and out as well?
Yeah, and it was pretty tough to try to keep up with them. I kept up with them for about 1 day, and I couldn't walk the next 3 days probably afterwards.
Oh my goodness.
They walk very fast.
And that was just me carrying a notepad, and I know Katie was following them for much longer sometimes with the whole full camera gear, and it was pretty amazing.
You know, and that's fine that, you know, you've got company, you've got scenery. What you don't have is like the luxuries of food and things like that. Do you find yourself thinking about eating or drinking because you've got such a long way to go and nothing around you?
Gretchen, who is the thru hiker that we followed, she found herself craving things like Sour Patch Kids or just kind of small things. There's even one point where she said, you know, through hiking makes you appreciate the little things like sleeping in a bed at night or the small kind of comfort foods that you like.
I bet it would. And then Greg, you had to put up the print story for the newspaper on that. And so you were able to get a lot of context though about what the trail, where it goes, how the land is preserved, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. And we even embedded with some volunteers for a little while too. Not just we followed the people who were hiking it, but then we also with the people, the Florida Trail Association, all these volunteers who maintain it, have to go out there every year and literally beat back the brush with, you know, chainsaws and this overgrown wild that they keep a footpath that you can follow. They paint the blazes that you can see. So we spent a lot of time with them, learning how they do it. We spent a lot of time with the U.S. Forestry Service, the officials that you know, they're in charge of the more behind the books kind of stuff. How are we going to get this trail from point A to point B? You know, how do we eliminate some of these roadwalks, some of these gaps in the middle of the trail? It
was interesting because people have heard about hiking the Appalachian Trail, and this one is not as well known, but it's kind of a challenge for people.
In Florida, as opposed to, you know, along the mountains and on the Appalachian Trail, there are swamps and beaches, and the roads actually present another challenge that I think a lot of hikers might not necessarily consider. It's harder on your legs to walk on roads than on a trail.
And I don't think either Katie or I had heard of the Florida Trail before we started working on the story and talking to them. And that was something that they kind of said was the normal. You know, everyone that they had run into,
I bet that
you know,
is the case.
Even people who live right on it, they hadn't known about the Florida Trail, or that it was, you know, one of 11 of these things, just 11 of these things in the country. So that's kind of part of the fun of this story too, and we hope that it helps shine some light on that and show people, hey, there is this thing that's right in your backyard.
Life here is amazing, and so is the joint care. At the Total Joint Center at Physicians Regional Healthcare System, we've changed the experience of joint replacement for good. With our comprehensive joint care program, most hip and knee replacement patients return home in just 2 days, because we know you want to get on with your active life. Pain-free living starts at Physicians Regional Medical Center, Collier Boulevard, and Physicians Regional Medical Center, Pine Ridge.
Hiring the right moving company is important. Best Moving and Storage is a family-owned and operated business serving Southwest Florida for over 22 years. From our free in-home estimate until the last piece of furniture is in your new place or stored in our climate-controlled warehouse, we treat you like family. Best Moving and Storage is fully licensed and insured, with all of our employees being certified drivers and packers. When it comes to protecting your treasured belongings, choose a company that's experienced and trustworthy. Call Best Moving and Storage today at 239-592-6565.
My name is Steve Unser, and cabinetry is my specialty. I have been creating custom designed cabinetry for 20 years in Southwest Florida. And now I am celebrating the grand opening of our new Naples showroom. Steve Unser Cabinetry will help you design your kitchen, bath, or home office with stunning results, offering the best quality of cabinets with a wide variety of design options and pricing to fit any budget. If your kitchen isn't becoming to you, you should be coming to us. Now, 2 locations to serve you.
We can't overlook the meaning behind this holiday weekend, the men and women who died in service to this land we love. In their continuing series called Stories of Service, WGCU is airing a locally produced documentary which looks at the Vietnam War through the eyes of local veterans.
We got into something that you can't even imagine. There's no way to even articulate what it was.
The stories that we're going to be seeing tonight are like interesting vignettes of 5 very brave men and talking about their different reasons for going into the Army or going into the armed services, and then what experiences they had when they were there, and then their experiences after.
The short doc airs tonight at 7:30 and again at 11:30 on WGCU, our local PBS station. It comes as an advance to a major Ken Burns documentary on the Vietnam War out in September. Baby boomers may be trailblazers in a number of ways, but one of them is not so nice. By some estimates, 1 in 30 are carrying hepatitis C, a dangerous blood-borne disease. Here's what you need to know in our Positively Healthy report. If you're a baby boomer, you may be asked to roll up your sleeves and be tested for hepatitis C. Health experts believe as many as 1 in 30 boomers are carrying the virus, and they may not know it.
Oftentimes patients with hepatitis C do not have any symptoms. They're not really aware they even have a problem until they come in for blood work, and they may notice that their doctor tells them that their liver enzymes were elevated. But yet at the same time, while they're not having symptoms, there may be chronic ongoing damage to the liver.
Hep C is a top cause of liver cirrhosis, liver failure, even liver cancer. In years past, a diagnosis would be disheartening, if not devastating.
The first treatments, quite frankly, were not very good. They involved getting injections on a daily basis, and they only had about a 20% cure rate.
With new drugs, the prognosis is much better.
We've evolved to a point where, in many cases, people can take 1 pill a day for 8 weeks with about a 97% cure rate. So it's really been an unbelievable evolution in medical progress.
People born between the years of 1945 and 1965 face the highest risk. Spread blood to blood, new studies show they could have gotten it from medical equipment or procedures performed before universal infection controls were in place, and not just by sharing needles or tattooing. Now there's an ongoing outreach to test baby boomers and treat them if needed.
Once you eradicate the virus, you eradicate the ongoing damage. Now, there may be some damage that's already been done that may be irreversible, but you stop the damage at that point in time.
Once stigmatized by dark associations, Hep C and its sufferers are seeing a brighter future.
A lot more people are more forthcoming about it now that they know there is an effective treatment.
Behr's Memorial Weekend Sale is on. This weekend only. For just $3.98, you can buy this designer queen bed or dining table. Shop early and save on our incredible selection of island-inspired designs with an extra 10% off Tommy Bahama and Lexington designs. Love leather? Natuzzi has 40 colors to choose from. 100% genuine. Same price. Order your choice now. Hurry in. Don't miss it. Behr's Memorial Weekend Sale.
The area's only 30 minutes or less ER service pledge means you'll find less waiting for the care you need. And because we're full service hospitals, a lot more care if you need it. Less waiting, faster care. Only at Physicians Regional Healthcare System.
Is your auto insurance keeping pace with your life? Ask for a AAA Triple Check Insurance Review to see if your current policy is still a good fit. An agent will assess changes in your life, like new vehicles or drivers. Make sure you've got the right coverage and all the discounts you deserve. They'll also see how a AAA membership can round out your protection on the road. Plus, provide roadside assistance, discounts, free services, and vacation extras. Ask for your AAA Triple Check today.
Unlike Veterans Day, Memorial Day is set aside to remember soldiers who died in service of our country. The holiday is meant to preserve their memory, and that's exactly what they're doing in Charlotte County. We're going to re-rack this story from an earlier edition of Behind the Headlines. It features a local band of brothers who persevered in order to build a wall.
One of the members of the Vietnam Veterans of America got word that the traveling wall in Texas was going to be up for sale, and he brought that to our attention, and we briefly considered purchasing that and converting it to a permanent wall, and the mechanics and the nuts and bolts were just too awkward, and we could build this one for about the same amount of money.
Bill Adkins led the grassroots fundraising mission.
We ended up raising well, probably around $650,000, and that purchased what you see here, and this is pretty much the same as the one in D.C., except for the white litho in the lettering makes it easier to read. The granite is from the same quarry.
The Vietnam Memorial is known as the Healing Wall. The years of work this one took was in itself healing.
The whole effort really kind of redirected your thoughts, and rather than morose thinking, it was proud thinking.
Once the wall was completed, people started coming.
I have friends on this wall that I'm probably still alive because they're not.
The emotional response is too much for some, who silently pay their respect.
I am very proud of him and what his accomplishments were, and for him to come out here today meant the world to me.
And unless you've been there, you might say I understand, but you don't. And it's very emotional that, you know, our hearts are here. And it kind of helps make it a little easier to get by.
A moving dedication here to stay, built by the same people who served and sacrificed.
This is a good representative of small town America, of high schools throughout the country that gave so many kids to that war.
Living in a tropical paradise, it seems everyone wants to achieve that coastal vibe. Turns out getting the look starts with smart style choices. Bears design expert Janet Graham helps us feel the breeze in this week's Inspired Living. I think a lot of people have trouble with this one, Janet, and I'm sure you can help us out. What's the difference between tropical and coastal? I know you have some elements here in the design house that you did in Naples Square.
Well, this is clearly a contemporary design, but living in Florida, and all of us get off the plane from coming up down from up north, and we want to feel like we're in Florida. So we like to have sporadically a little bit of a tropical flair. Don't want to go overboard though, since it's a contemporary design. So bringing in just a little bit of accessories, and accessories that might have a undertone of a tropical undertone, as you're looking at. For example, we have on the dining room table, we have some napkin holders that resemble sea urchins. And we also have on the foyer table behind us, the foyer table actually has a driftwood finish to it, and very contemporary design. Then you have your coral, and you've got your
looks like some sea life in
sea
it.
life
You might
in
see
there,
if you're
right.
diving. A lot of it does look like water and kind of ocean inspired, all the way down to really kind of subliminally within your lighting.
Exactly. See a little bit of the waves on the side of that chandelier up there. So subliminally, exactly, it has a little bit of a coastal feel, even though it has a contemporary feel. When you first walk in, as you're walking around, you do see a little bit of coastal here and there, touches of Florida, but not so much that you walk in and you say, oh, this is a Florida tropical home. It's still a very contemporary urban style design, but it has a little bit of Florida feel to it.
So you're saying it's with your accessories, but also the finishes of your furniture, using kind of the light driftwood styles, and then seeing where you can get the movement within some of your features?
You got it.
And so do you have a hard time telling people that you can do the coastal vibe without a lot of color, that you don't need to have all these tropical bright melons and peaches and all these different things?
So true, so true. And once they have a good visual on something like this, they tend to like it. And they also can put in little splashes of the colors that they want, and it's a great coastal look, because coastal is a lot of color, but coastal can also be no color at all. So this is a good translation of the neutral coastal palette.
Well, you've done a wonderful job.
Well,
It's
thank
also
you.
very peaceful, though. I think people will love to come and live in a place like this. That's the end of the trail for this edition of Behind the Headlines. We hope you enjoy your holiday weekend. You can always catch up on past shows by logging on to naplesnews.com. On the left-hand side under Quick Links, select Behind the Headlines. I'm Amy Osher. See you back here next week.